Listen carefully. The world isn't kind, and it's definitely not fair. Most people live like herds of cattle, quiet, distracted, and waiting for someone to tell them what to do. They scroll endlessly on their phones. They numb themselves with comfort. They follow the crowd without ever questioning it. They become predictable, replaceable, forgotten. But you, if you're still here, it means there's something inside you that refuses that fate. You can feel it, even if you haven't put it into words yet. A quiet voice saying, there must be more than this. Because survival alone is not enough. Power belongs to those who are awake, disciplined, and untouchable. And this requires more than talent. It demands relentless strategy. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. Those who arm their minds cannot be ruled. Knowledge is the one weapon no tyrant can take from you. Every book you open, every idea you absorb, every truth you master, these are your bullets. Each day you sharpen your thinking. You create distance between yourself and the masses who have already surrendered. If you want to rise above, you must build a fortress inside your mind. Feed it like your life depends on it, because it does. Comment this below. I refuse to be cattle. Say it and mean it. One. The battlefield of knowledge, the world you live in, is not a playground. It's a battlefield. Every conversation, negotiation, and decision is a subtle war of influence and perception. Most people don't even realize they're in combat, and that's why they lose before they begin. Knowledge is both your armor and your sword. When you study daily, you start to see human nature clearly. You understand how systems of power work. You spot patterns in people, cracks in organizations, and opportunities hiding in plain sight. What is invisible to the average person becomes obvious to you. But remember, knowledge without action is useless. Reading without applying is like sharpening a sword you never swing. When you learn, you must test it in the real world. Watch people, experiment, adjust, refine your instincts until you can predict behavior with cold precision. That's the heart of dark psychology, understanding that people are puppets pulled by their emotions. And with discipline, you can pull the strings. Here's the truth. The more you learn, the lonelier the path becomes. You'll start to notice how shallow most people are, how unprepared they are for war. You'll walk among them like a wolf among sheep. Comment this below. Knowledge is my weapon. Let this become a part of your identity. Because on this battlefield, ignorance is death. 2. The discipline of daily education power isn't built through bursts of effort. It's forged through daily, relentless discipline. Every single day, you must feed your mind with something sharper and stronger than the day before. This is the quiet habit that separates rulers from the ruled. Most men waste their mornings on distractions, scrolling, gossiping, drowning in noise. But a Machiavellian mind doesn't. You rise early, and before the world fills you with chaos, you fill yourself with order. You read. You study the strategies of history's conquerors. You learn from the failures of those who lost everything. You sharpen your mind like a soldier sharpens his blade every day without excuse. Why? Because ignorance is slavery. The man who doesn't educate himself becomes prey. He is easily manipulated by trends, fooled by propaganda, and ruled by those who understand human psychology better than he does. But the man who learns daily, quietly and consistently, becomes unpredictable. He cannot be controlled, persuaded, or tricked. That is real freedom. Don't confuse this with academic trivia. You're not filling your head with random facts. You're building a mental fortress made of principles, strategies, and models. You're training yourself to think 5 steps ahead. Each page you read, each lecture you watch, each idea you break down, it compounds. Over time, you'll rise so far above the average person that they won't even understand how you think. This path requires sacrifice. Entertainment will lose its charm. Mediocre company will drain you. You'll trade comfort for clarity, distraction for dominance. And while others live surrounded by noise, you'll live in control. 3. The psychology of control power isn't luck. It's not about charm. It starts with control. Control over yourself first, and then over others. A Machiavellian understands this better than anyone. If you can't control your own emotions, fears, and urges, then others will. Control begins within. You must train your emotions to serve you instead of ruling you. Anger, fear, desire, greed, these are not weaknesses. They're tools. The average person reacts like a puppet pulled by emotion. But you must learn to pause. Think. Strike only when it benefits you. That's real power. Once you've mastered your own psychology, the next step is controlling others. People are not purely logical. They're emotional. They crave validation. They fear rejection. They beg for direction. Learn this, and you can guide them without resistance. You don't force people. You make them believe it's their choice. That's the art of manipulation. Observe their weaknesses. Watch their body language. Listen to what they don't say. Every person has a crack in their armor, a hidden insecurity, a blind spot, a need. Find it and use it. That's how kings rule without lifting a sword. But here's the paradox. Real control is invisible. The best manipulators don't look like manipulators. They appear calm, kind, even harmless, while secretly pulling every string. Machiavelli said it best. It's better to be feared than loved. Because love is fragile, but fear endures. When you master both fear and admiration, you become untouchable. Comment this below. I am the one who pulls the strings. Remember, control isn't arrogance. It's survival and dominance. The man who controls himself earns respect. The man who controls others shapes history. Without this, you're just another pawn on someone else's board. Understand this carefully. The things people don't know about you are far more powerful than the things they do. Information gives power. A man who shares too much becomes easy to read, easy to attack, and easy to destroy. The Machiavellian rule is simple. Show little, hide much. Most men crave attention. They talk too much online, confess their weaknesses to friends they barely trust, and announce their plans before they have the strength to make them real. This is self-destruction. The more people know, the easier it is for them to predict your moves, trap you, and turn your own words against you. But a man who uses secrecy moves like a shadow. He talks less, listens more, and never shows his real intentions until it's time to act. Secrecy doesn't mean silence. It means strategy. You give people just enough to make them believe they understand you, when in truth, they know nothing. A mask, a controlled image, is often more powerful than honesty. Honesty exposes you. Secrecy gives you control. Think of power like chess. The beginner proudly announces his next move. The master hides his plans, setting traps his opponent cannot see. Empires are not built through transparency. They're built through smart deception and controlled information. Secrecy does more than protect you. It intimidates. Mystery creates curiosity, and curiosity leads to fear. When people can't predict you, they can't control you. They start respecting you, even fearing you, because uncertainty is frightening. The wolf that howls can be tracked. The wolf that moves silently through the dark is unstoppable. This doesn't mean you should isolate yourself completely. Secrecy is selective. Share information only with purpose, and only when it benefits your strategy. If you must reveal something, make sure it strengthens your image, never weakens it. Even your closest allies don't need the full truth. Remember, every person has a price. Even loyal friends can be bought. Protect yourself by keeping the deepest parts of your plans hidden. When you master secrecy, you become untouchable. People can gossip, guess, and assume, but they will never know the truth. And the less they know, the more power you have. Pause. Say it aloud or write it down. My silence is my shield. Because silence will protect you in moments when your words could destroy you. History's greatest rulers were not the loudest. They were the most calculated, the hardest to read, and the most disciplined in what they chose to hide. Their enemies never saw the attack coming, not until it was too late. This is the power of secrecy. Use it wisely, and you'll move through life like a ghost, felt, feared, but never fully understood. 6. The ruthlessness of decision hesitation is weakness, and weakness invites attack. In a world built on competition and conflict, indecision is not neutral. It's deadly. A man who hesitates loses chances, loses respect, and eventually loses himself. The Machiavellian rule is clear. When it's time to act, act without hesitation. Most people drown in overthinking. They question themselves. They wait for the perfect moment that never comes. Meanwhile, decisive people make history. Caesar crossed the Rubicon with no guarantees. Alexander burned his ships, so there was no way to retreat. Machiavelli said fortune favors the bold, not the timid. Being ruthless doesn't mean being reckless. It means cold clarity. It means calculating, preparing, and then striking without apology. No hesitation. No wasted movement. Your decision should be firm and your execution absolute. Nothing destroys authority faster than doubt. People naturally follow strength. They're drawn to those who act with certainty, even when the outcome is unknown. The man who decides fast, firm, and without flinching becomes the center others orbit around. He shapes reality by refusing to waver. The hesitant man becomes an echo, forgotten before he's even finished speaking. But ruthlessness begins inside you. You must kill hesitation at its root. Think in probabilities, not fantasies. No path is perfect. Every choice involves risk, but risk is where power lives. Once you choose, accept the consequences, win or lose, and shape them in your favor. That's how a predator thinks. Ruthlessness also requires sacrifice. You can't hold on to every option, every comfort, every person. When you commit, you must cut away anything that slows you down. Most men can't do this. They cling to safety, to comfort, to people who weaken them. You can't. A king must be ready to burn bridges, sever ties, and remove liabilities without hesitation. Mercy is a luxury. Survival is a necessity. Never confuse kindness with weakness. A Machiavellian mind knows when to be merciful and when mercy is suicide. If you spare an enemy who will rise again, his hand will one day be at your throat. If you give a rival another chance, you write your own defeat. Ruthlessness means finishing what you start. Always. Remember, your decisions shape your legacy. History doesn't remember the cautious man who waited too long. It remembers the one who acted, who forced reality to bend to his will. Those who hesitate disappear. Those who strike become legends. Pause. Say it clearly. Hesitation is death. Decision is power. Every day you delay, someone else takes the throne that could have been yours. The truth is harsh. People respect decisiveness more than morality. They fear the man who never doubts himself, even if they hate him. That fear, that respect, creates power. So when the blade is in your hand, don't tremble. Don't hesitate. Cut clean. Move forward. Don't look back. This is the ruthlessness of decision. Live it, and you'll stand where very few ever do. Untouchable, unchallenged, uncheckable. 7. The power of perception power isn't just what you truly have. It's what others believe you have. Perception is the real battlefield. Men have built empires not with armies or wealth, but with the illusions they created. If people think you are strong, you are treated as strong. If they think you are weak, your actual strength doesn't matter. You'll still be treated like prey. This is the Machiavellian truth. It's not enough to have power. You must be seen as power. Your reputation enters every room before you do. It speaks for you before you say a word. It stays long after you leave. Guard it carefully. Shape it intentionally. Never let it form by accident. Perception is permanent manipulation. When you walk with calm confidence, people assume you're in control. When you speak with certainty, they assume you have authority. When you remain unshaken, they assume strength. Assumption is everything. People rarely question appearances. They believe the mask, and the mask becomes reality. This is why secrecy and ruthless action directly shape perception. When you hide your weaknesses and act boldly, you build an aura of power around yourself. People start whispering about you, exaggerating your abilities, inflating your influence. You don't have to be a giant. Just cast a giant's shadow. History proves it. Many rulers weren't the strongest or richest. They mastered their image. They used fear and admiration as weapons. Some were called ruthless, some wise, some divine. The truth didn't matter. Perception shaped reality. But be careful. Perception cuts both ways. One crack in your image, one moment of desperation, and the crowd can turn fast. People are fickle. This is why your presentation must be ruthless. Dress with purpose. Speak with intention. Control your body language. Every detail sends a message about who you are. Never give the world a reason to think you're ordinary. Here's another dark truth. People want to believe in something bigger than themselves. They look for leaders, figures that seem larger than life. If you craft that image through discipline, education, and controlled perception, they will follow. Have you ever noticed how people often believe what they see rather than what's real? That's the real battlefield. Not strength, not money, but perception. Power isn't just about what you truly have. It's about what others think you have. Throughout history, empires have been built not only with armies or wealth, but with carefully created images. If people believe you're strong, you're treated as strong. If they think you're weak, your real abilities won't matter, because they'll already see you as prey. This is the Machiavellian truth. It's not enough to hold power. You must appear powerful. Your reputation walks into rooms before you do. It speaks for you before you even open your mouth. And it remains long after you've left. That's why you must shape it with care. Never let your image be formed by accident. Perception is controlled storytelling. When you move calmly, people assume you're in control. When you speak with confidence, they assume you're a leader. When you stay composed under pressure, they see strength. Most people don't check the reality. They accept the mask you wear, and soon that mask becomes the reality. This is why secrecy and decisive action are connected to perception. When you hide your weaknesses and act with sharp precision, you create a powerful aura. People begin to whisper about you, exaggerating your strength and influence. You don't have to be a giant. You just need to cast a giant's shadow. Think about history's greatest rulers. Many weren't the strongest fighters or the richest individuals, but they mastered how they were seen. They built images of fear, wisdom, or divinity, and the world responded to those images. What mattered wasn't always the truth. It was what people believed. And those beliefs shaped reality itself. But perception can work against you too. A single crack in your image, one moment of desperation, can make the crowd turn on you. People are easily influenced by appearances. That's why you must be strategic about every detail. The way you dress, the way you talk, your body language, your reactions. Every small thing teaches the world what to think about you. Never let them believe you're ordinary. Here's a darker truth. people crave something greater than themselves. They want to believe in powerful figures, in symbols, in leaders. If you shape yourself into that figure through discipline, learning, and controlled perception, they will follow you. Understand this clearly. Perception can protect you as much as it can elevate you. If you appear strong, they'll treat you as strong. If you seem inevitable, they'll accept your presence as fact. Once people believe something about you deeply, reality bends to that belief. A reputation for being fierce can stop attacks before they begin. A reputation for intelligence can open doors before you even knock. A reputation for cold, calm power ensures no one underestimates you twice. Comment this right now. I control the image. I control the world. Because when you master perception, you shape the will of others without them even noticing. The crowd lives blind to this. They chase likes, approval, and popularity, thinking that will bring respect. But a Machiavellian understands. Respect is born from fear, admiration, and mystery, not approval. So build your image. Guard your reputation. Control the story told about you. Because perception is power. And in a world built on illusions, the one who controls perception controls everything.